Now, into the ticket office of Disneyland.
Oh boy, let's do this.
Don't think the CIA is going to be trying to hack your second-gen iPod.
I didn't think so. There might have been a lot of illegal music on there. I wouldn't doubt it. But, I mean,
You were supposed to bring death to the flagships, not join them.
Google has found a new way to piss me off.
iTunes is a constant source of embarrassment.
Behind-the-scenes camera crap.
May I present to you the cat?
I am the dog. I can't do it anymore without laughing. I was going to do the whole thing.
Welcome, everyone, to the Calling All Platforms podcast. I am your host, Wes, and I'm here with Landon.
Hello.
And Caleb.
Yo!
And we are here to talk all things tech this week. Guess what? This week, we might have a little bit more to talk about than we did last week. Was it? I'm curious. Was it one of our shortest episodes?
I didn't even bother
other
to
than
look it up.
Obviously, other than our 300th episode being that short. But.
I mean, I can guarantee it's in probably the top 5 shortest episodes, but I don't know if it's the shortest one, other than our AI one. But it's definitely top 5.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, we got a few things to talk about. Why don't we jump right in there? We have an event to talk about. Samsung Unpacked. Landon, you definitely want to talk about this, don't you?
Definitely is a strong word. And it's definitely not the right word, but it's a word, you know.
But it's a word, and it's there. And it was used, so take it away.
All right, so Samsung had their Unpacked event, and typically around this time of year, their Unpacked event involves the foldable devices, which this one did as well. But it also included a lot more stuff. This was one of their more, it was a very device-heavy event, this one.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, it's still one of, I can't say it flopped, but there's just not a lot of people that really cared about almost anything that came out of this event, unfortunately.
Could you say it flipped?
Hey.
Yes.
Not
bad. He's speechless. I got him. Yes.
I now actually want Samsung to release a phone called the Galaxy Z Flop.
They did. They just actually called it the Fold 6 instead of the Flop.
Okay.
That's what it's called.
Anyways, going back to the actual event. So let's start with the two phones that were announced, the Z Fold 6 and the Z Flip 6. Now, normally, listener, if you've been listening for a while, you know I tend to go through all the specs on new phones. I'm not going to do that this time because if you want to know what these phones are, go to last year's Unpacked event and listen to that episode. Because the specs are more or less the same, other than it's got an updated processor. It's now got okay. I have to talk about this one. This is fun. It's the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy.
Good.
Oh,
good.
Because they needed another version of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, and then they had to add more words, more naming. It's fun.
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, is that nominated for something right there that we should put for worst?
Snapdragon.
Yep, he's putting it. I'm getting it now.
Yeah.
Worst tech name of the year.
So, wait, hold on. I've already forgotten all of the stupid little pieces to the name of this thing. What is it?
Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy.
8 Gen 3 for, yeah, so that's down. We'll make sure and include that as an option for the worst tech name of the year.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was bad.
But, I mean, other than that, majority of the specs between this year and last year's phones are very similar. They do have upgraded cameras, only in the fact that their sensors are different than last year. And as we've seen in different videos and reviews about these, or hands-on reviews about these phones, is basically they are the same sensors that are in the main Galaxy S phones. So if you want to know more about those cameras, there you go. You can watch those reviews because they're going to be the same. The battery the battery on these phones, I think, is a little bit bigger in the flip phone, if I remember correctly, but not by much. And the battery in the fold, I think, is the same. The biggest change on these is going to be like physical changes, like the outside screen on the fold is ever so slightly bigger. It's gone from a 6.2 inch display to a 6.3 inch display. And it is also a slightly different aspect ratio. It's gone from a 23.1 to 9 or by 9 to 22 to 0.1. I don't know. It's something. It makes it a little bit more on par with your typical flagship phone. So it's slightly easier to use is what most people are saying. But it's still that really tall, skinny type phone. Whereas like your Razer or, well, I guess this is the Fold. So not the Razer. You can't compare it to that. But the OnePlus Open has the phone that, or has the outside display that is very similar to a regular phone. And then the Pixel Fold has a phone that's a little bit shorter, but still more similar to a regular phone. So those are your ones you want to compare it to. Most people still definitely prefer the OnePlus when it comes to the outside display. They actually say you can use it like a normal phone, and it feels like a normal phone, and it acts like a normal phone. Whereas like the Fold 5 and previous and everything, most people are not big fans of using that outside display. They want to actually open it up and use it, which is okay. I guess that's kind of the purpose of the phone. But I still think I would prefer to use that outside display as the majority of your use case, and then open it up to the bigger display when you want a bigger display. Not use the bigger display all the time. That just seems like a waste of an outside display, in my opinion. But yeah, there's really not a ton of difference here. The biggest difference, other than the outside, like the shape and whatnot, is the price. Because they upped the price on both of these phones $100, which they were already expensive to begin with. So the Fold is now starting at $1,900, and the Flip starts at $1,100.
Boy, that Razer is looking better and better.
Right? I mean, it really, especially, like, that's the other thing with the flip phone. They didn't make the cover display any better on the Samsung one. It's still got that weird camera cut out on the bottom, so it doesn't cover the whole outside of the display. And it's nowhere near as usable. Like, the Razer phone, you can basically use that outside display as you can do anything on that outside display that you can do on the inside, just in a smaller screen size. Whereas Samsung, you can't do that unless you do this weird hack thing that I don't even know exactly how you do it. But even once you've done that, you can't still fully utilize that outside display. And I don't get what Samsung's doing here on the software side of things when it comes to these phones. Initially, they were definitely the best foldable phones to buy because the hardware was really good, the display is really good, the software was at the time really good. Well, good for a first generation, second generation foldable phone. But they haven't done a whole lot to make it any better over the years. The hardware has definitely gotten better. The hinges on these phones are the best that they've had so far from what I have heard. But it's just software side of thing, like your general use case of like when you're using this phone is just not gotten all that much better over the years, which is really unfortunate. Samsung has been one of those companies that kind of tries to lead the way in certain things, especially when it comes to new form factors. And they did that for a long time. It's just they've kind of plateaued when it comes. They've become too comfortable, I guess. And I think it's partially because inside the US, which is probably where they sell most of these phones, there's really not a lot of competition. You're not going to get like your Oppo foldable phones. Your OnePlus you can get, but they're just not as well known in the US. And Razer, yeah, that's definitely their most competition, but they don't have a foldable phone. They just have the flip phone. But
yeah.
I don't know why they're not trying to be better. I don't know. It baffles my mind. I just don't get it.
I have a sneaking suspicion that what it really comes down to is a lack of vision, because Apple hasn't made one yet. And so they're waiting. Like, they did it with the smartwatch as well, where they were first into the category and kind of set the standard, and then they just sat and released the same thing for several years, unsure of what to do, until Apple released one, and then they started changing it to match what Apple was doing. So
yeah, and we'll get into more of that in a little bit, but yes, it's true.
I mean, yes. Samsung, you dorks.
They've just become very complacent when it comes to most of their hardware, and it's too bad, because Samsung, if you go back like about 15, even 10 years ago, Samsung was making all sorts of random cool phones. Like, I remember they had a smartphone with a projector built into it.
Oh, that's right.
The Galaxy Beam.
It was a terrible idea, but
they made two of them. They made two of them.
That's, it's like they freaking tried it. Good job. Yeah. Like, I appreciate when Samsung tries stupid things, like putting a spy camera onto a wrist and then featuring it in a commercial of a dude creepily taking pictures of a girl on the slopes all day at a ski resort.
Yeah.
Super creepy, awful decision, Samsung.
Yeah, that was the first smartwatch they came out with that had a camera on it. The next one did not have a camera on it.
Yep. That's the thing. We're still talking about it. It's memorable, We don't only remember the time that the Note 7 exploded and caught people's plane bags on fire and stuff like that. It's, we also talk about the weird hardware stuff that Samsung has done over the years, some of which turned out to be really good ideas.
Yeah.
Like the S Pen. Not going to argue with that. Yeah. Turned out to be a winner. Apple makes one now.
I mean, yes. But the unfortunate thing about the S Pen is it doesn't come in the fold. It works with the fold, but they still, for some reason, in a much larger phone, don't have space to put an S Pen in the device like they do on the Galaxy S24 Ultra Giant Pro, whatever they call it, name phone.
Yeah. Which is a bummer, because it makes so much sense.
I know, it really does.
Whatever the case, sometimes their weird little hardware gimmicks turn out to be actually really good ideas that they can iterate and improve over time and turn into this cool feature that people really attach to. And, Samsung, we need more of that. You can't just sit there and wait for Apple to come along and fix all of your weird usability mistakes and then just copy whatever it is they do. Like, you've got to try and fix them yourself.
Yeah.
You can do it. You're big enough now.
You have the money. Yeah, I don't understand these phones. I guess, obviously, if you have the 5th generation or even the 4th generation, I don't feel it's necessary to upgrade to these phones. If you're new to the foldable devices, the main benefit to Samsung hardware over other companies is going to be the fact that you're going to get software updates for 7 years, basically. That's what they've promised. So you're going to be getting those upgrades, which is good. That's pretty much the only benefit. And the camera. The cameras are going to be good on these phones.
Yeah.
But other than that, almost any other company that makes a foldable device is going to be a better experience. It's like, at least when you're like, in my opinion, it's going to be the OnePlus Open on the fold side and the Pixel Fold as well. And then on the flip phone side, you're looking at the Razr. And every single one of those options, I think, is a better usability experience. And even on the Pixel Fold, the cameras are going to be as good. So even then, and the software upgrades are going to be there as well. So I have a hard time recommending Samsung foldable phones to hardly anybody, unless you are just dead set, absolutely love the One UI experience. Then okay, I guess go for the Samsung. I don't know why you like it, but some people do. And so maybe if you're in that ecosystem already, then okay, stick with it. But other than that, I just don't. I have a hard time recommending these phones to anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah. that's kind of unfortunate for Samsung. But there are more things to talk about because they, like I said, they had all the hardware at this event for some reason. The next couple things I want to talk about, they announced two new watches. They announced the Watch 7 and the Watch 7 Ultra. And you know, it's funny because obviously the Watch 7 Ultra is to compete with the Apple Watch Ultra. And I hate that they also named it the watch. Name. I hate that they named it the same because now you actually have to say the full name of both devices, and that is awful.
Yep.
Naming it should be easier than this, but apparently
it really should. Honestly, at this point, tech companies just start giving them like names. Like Samsung, you could just call this the Watch Charlie, and that's fine. Just call it Charlie.
Yeah,
the Watch Charlie.
That would be great, actually. Don't even call it the Watch Charlie. Just call it the Samsung Charlie.
Samsung Charlie.
You have to just know that it's a watch. I would love that. And man, that would be great.
I mean, it wouldn't be less user hostile than the current naming scheme. So
true.
It's still less hostile than Sony's users or naming.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Actually, it's not worse. It's not better, but it is funnier, and it's not worse. So why not? Just do it.
I like it. Whoever came up with the idea for that device, they get to name it. It's their name. Like it's named after them.
Ooh, yeah.
Which would be even more fun with a company like Samsung that's based out of Korea. It'd be hard for us Americans to pronounce the names. Great.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
I would love it. Anyways, back to these watches. So hardware-wise, these watches, strangely enough, are almost the same, which is interesting because, like, if you look at Apple, the way they've done their watches, they've got the main watches that most people are going to buy. Then they have the Ultra, which has a lot of the same sensors that the main watch has, but it is a little more durable. It's definitely more durable. It can also go in the water deeper. It's made for diving. They had a whole thing about that.
Yeah.
And whatnot. And that's great. There's a significant difference between the regular watch and the Watch Ultra. Samsung didn't necessarily do that, which I find odd. So the regular watch and the Watch Ultra, the main difference is the Watch Ultra is titanium, similar to Apple's, and it can do, I mean, well, actually that's pretty much it. It's titanium. And it is like they both have the same screen, even like the regular watch and the Watch Ultra have the same circular and same size display. The only difference is the Watch Ultra, the body of it is more square, like a very rounded squircle type looking device that looks very similar to an Apple Watch Ultra, just with a round display on it, which I do find odd because why did you go that far out of your way to make a relatively square watch and then put a round display on it? I don't know.
That is so backwards.
I do believe that they said, I didn't watch the event, but I do believe that they said that the corners are bigger that way to help with impact. I don't know if that actually works, but that's sure. We'll go with that.
That is like, I've seen watches that are like smartwatches that are round that have square displays because the people making them were too cheap to put a round display on them.
Yeah. But
I have never seen a square-ish body watch with a round display on it.
No.
I mean, I guess I was just telling them to innovate and do something weird. Okay.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
I mean, it doesn't look horrible. It doesn't look great, but it doesn't look bad. Like, it's funny because, like, if you compare this to Garmin watches, those are bigger, chunkier watches with a circular display, but they're not round, or they're not square watches. They are round watches. They're just also bigger. So I don't know why Samsung couldn't have done that or didn't. I mean, well, I do know why. It's because, again, they want to compete with the Apple Watch Ultra. That's the main. And if you look at this watch, you will say, yes, that is competing with the Apple Watch Ultra, down to the accent colors. It's orange. Like,
yeah.
The only differentiator here is that they have two colors, whereas the Apple Watch Ultra only comes in that titanium color. This comes in that titanium, silver, white color, and also black. So there's that. But again, the accent is orange, even down to the action. Oh, wait, nope. They don't call it an action button. Don't call it that. It's the quick button. Samsung calls it the quick button, which I also want to put that down in the terrible names because that is action button. I don't love that name, but I like it more than the quick button.
Yeah. It performs an action, right? It's a button, you push the button, and action happens.
Yeah.
Not a great name, but it is reasonably descriptive.
Yeah.
The quick button, that's the turbocharger for the watch, right? It's like back in the day, you had your computer, you'd push the turbo button, that would increase the power limits available to your processor or whatever and make it run faster. I don't know actually how the turbo button worked or whether it worked. Might have been a placebo thing.
Probably.
Who knows? But that's what the quick button says to me. It's going to make your watch go fast, or maybe it's going to make you go fast. It's going to shoot needles into your wrist and inject adrenaline directly into your bloodstream. That's what the quick button does.
You know, that
like,
might
Samsung,
be worth it.
what is this button supposed to do?
I'll tell you what it does.
Name it that way.
It does exactly what the action button does on the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
You can set it up to do any specific task that you want it to do. And from people that I've heard have used the watch so far in their hands-on stuff, it's unfortunate. Like Samsung has 3 buttons on the one side. There's a top button, a middle button, and a bottom button. The middle button is the quick button, which is fine. But the problem is that most people, when they're using this watch, they go to push that button to go home because that makes sense. The middle button is the home button, or the dial. Like that's what this is. It's the round circular dial button goes home. But no, that's not what this button does. This one is the quick button that does something else. So you might be inside of an app and then you want to go to your homepage. You hit that button and you opened up something completely different. You didn't go home.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. No, you opened up the super speed app that accelerates your metabolism to. I'm sorry, it's a dumb name for a button. Call it the quick access button.
Yeah.
Samsung. That's what it's for, right? You're trying to say, hey, this button allows you to quickly access something on your watch. Quick access. Don't just the quick button. Really?
It's the Nestle quick button.
Yes.
Nesquik. The Nesquik button.
This is
our collaboration.
This will make you a chocolate milk really fast. Honestly, you could probably program it to do that. You just have to set it up to, work with
with some kind of smart home blender or something like that.
Yeah, it'll just automatically make you a protein shake or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Nice.
Listener, if you are techie and like an electrical engineer or something like that, and you would like to put together some kind of Rube Goldberg smart home setup where you can trigger with a button push on a Samsung Watch 7 Ultra that will, dispense milk and Nesquik into a smart blender and then blend a chocolate milk or something like that when you push the button, post that on YouTube, tag us, please. I want to see that.
Yes.
And I will, if you do that, I will forgive Samsung for the naming for this button. And for all future names forevermore into the future, Samsung gets a pass if you do this. Make a Nesquik button happen, listener. Please.
Oh, that would be amazing.
That would be cool.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the Galaxy Watch Ultra. The other differentiator between the Watch Ultra and the regular Watch 7 is the bands. I mean, technically, yes, you can use Samsung bands can go back and forth between these watches. But the benefit to the regular Watch 7 is you can use a standard 22 millimeter watch band as well. You cannot do that on the Watch Ultra. It only uses proprietary Samsung watch bands.
Good.
At least for now. I mean, there might be down the road someone will make something that'll click into this watch to be able to use regular watch bands. People have done it for the Apple Watch. So I would imagine it probably will happen with this one. But at the moment, you can only use proprietary bands, which...
Yes.
That sucks because they're going to be expensive.
Their journey to the dark side is now complete.
Yes. Well, actually, we'll get to that with the earbuds.
Oh, all right.
But yeah, so that's the Watch Ultra. It does have the 100-meter water depth, similar to the Apple Watch Ultra, but at the same time, so does the Galaxy Watch 7. So you don't really even need the Ultra Watch to do that. Again, features that are not different. I don't fully get it. The biggest benefit to buying the Galaxy Watch Ultra over something else is if you're in the Samsung ecosystem, it'll work a little bit better. Initially, we'd thought that all these new watches only worked with Samsung phones, but they have come out and said, no, this will work with other Android devices just fine. But you do have to download the Samsung Health app on those devices because it only works with that. Awfully enough, but that's what it is what it is. And I don't know why Samsung has to do things like this, but they do, I guess. Now that's where they're at. They're just Apple 2.0. Which we didn't need another Apple. I mean, we have one that's already annoying enough. Why did Samsung
Apple
have to do
2.0 implies that they've somehow improved on what Apple is doing. They haven't. That's fair. It's not an upgrade from Apple. This is at best a side grade.
Yes.
They're just doing the same thing as Apple is doing, but branded with a Samsung logo.
Although that being said, this watch is $150 cheaper than the Apple Watch Ultra. This one starts at $650 instead of $800. So they have that one up on Apple, but that's it.
Better freaking. It's apparently not different than their normal watch. So
yeah. The biggest thing here is going to be durability. I can't remember if battery is going to be better on this one. I don't remember if the battery is bigger on the Ultra than it is on the regular watch, but the durability is definitely going to be better because it's titanium and it is a sapphire crystal covering the display instead of just regular glass. So durability wise, it will be better. Other than that, feature wise, it's really basically the same watch. So those are the new watches. Now, on to more Appleification. Applifying of Samsung. The Galaxy Buds 3 and Buds 3 Pro. They're AirPods and AirPods Pro.
Yay.
More or less. I mean, I don't blame Samsung for copying the shape here. This is one thing that Apple did do right the first time in their earbuds. The stem shape, so many companies now are copying that. Not only because they want to copy Apple, but also because it just works, and it works well. The fit is really good. They're comfortable. They function really well. Most companies, you're either getting ones that have the stem on it like this, or they're just the round earbuds that you shove into your ear, which also work fine. But Samsung has now switched over from doing the circular earbuds that you shove into your ear to the ones with the stem. And there are a few little things. They don't fully look like AirPods and AirPods Pro, but they're very similar down to the point that the Galaxy Buds 3 are your cheaper, they're very similar to AirPods in the fact that they don't have the little rubber or silicone thing on it to go into your ear. They're just kind of pushing sound into your ear through lightly, I guess. And the Pro comes with those little silicone caps that fit in more, encompass the inside of your ear a little better, keep the sound in a little better. They also have active noise cancellation on the Pro. I think the regular Galaxy Buds 3 also have noise cancellation, but they're not going to be as good as the Pros. The one kind of cool thing on both of these earbuds is on that stem, there's a little light bar that I don't entirely know all the features that it is. I do believe it can show battery life on that little light bar, which is kind of cool, I guess. But I don't really, I guess it's a differentiator. No other company, as far as I know, has that little light bar. It's it kind of looks kind of cool. And those stems are also more triangular instead of circular, which it's a design choice. It's not my favorite. It doesn't look bad. It's just, it's different. So they do stand out a little bit. They're not too bad. The prices on these, the regular Buds 3 will start at $180, And the Buds 3 Pro start at $250. So very on par when it comes to what they're competing against in pricing and the features that you get. So that's the new Galaxy Buds. And then the last thing that they announced was the Galaxy Ring. Well, okay, they announced this a while ago, but they actually fully showed it off and told us the features on it. The coolest thing about this ring is the case, by far. It's like a clear plastic case that you can open up like a normal ring box, and then you put the ring on this little cylindrical post that's there. That's how you charge the ring, and the case itself you can charge, like you can charge the case and then take it off the charger and then charge the ring separately outside of, you don't have to have it plugged in basically. And then around the ring in the case is a little light bar, like a little light circle thing that goes around the ring that tells you where the battery life of the ring is at, which is kind of cool. But other than that, cool. I mean, it's a smart ring. It's very similar to the Aura or other companies out there. The biggest difference between this one and the Aura ring is this one is $100 more than the Aura ring. The Aura starts at $300. This is $400. But you do not have to have a subscription with this one. The Aura ring, you do have to pay $7 a month to use all the features on it. This one, you do not have to do that. It just uses the Samsung Health app. So there is that little benefit. So eventually it will be cheaper than the Aura because you're not paying for that monthly subscription.
Yeah. I mean, so long as the battery lasts for longer than a year before it completely craps out, then it'll pay for itself eventually.
I mean, I would imagine the lifetime of the battery is going to be a decent amount. Most of these smart rings are.
You'd think so. Yeah. You'd hope so.
I mean, the regular battery life, they say up to 7 days on one charge, which is pretty good.
That's decent. So yeah, if you're only charging it once a week, then the batteries should last for a little while, and not having to pay a $7 a month subscription fee. Yeah, there's value to that.
Yeah. And again, if you're in the Samsung ecosystem, I probably would say if you want to get a smart ring, this would be the way to go. It's not a bad looking ring. It's kind of got a little concave design to the ring. But because it is a smart ring, it is relatively thick because all these smart rings, they have to have smart stuff in it. They have to have battery in it. And then outside the material, these are all metal. So, you know, they may not be the most comfortable thing to wear all the time. You probably get used to it eventually. If you already have a relatively large ring, you're going to be fine. But just keep that in mind. It's not a really thin ring by any means.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for somebody to make like a smart ring that's like commemorative sized or something like that. You know, like a Super Bowl ring.
That would be amazing.
That's what I'm waiting for.
That would be actually pretty cool.
Oh, that would probably have a month's worth of battery life just because it's so freaking huge.
Like at that point, you may as well put a screen on it, for crying out loud. Why not?
Just turn a smartwatch into a ring. There you go. You know, I'd be willing to bet that there's some sort of watch band that turns a watch into a ring. I haven't looked for it, so I don't know, but that would be amazing.
Yeah, let me just pull up AliExpress real quick.
Or you know what, Caleb? Just 3D print one. There you go. Anyways, that's really all I really care to talk about with the Galaxy Ring. I don't know a ton about these smart rings. They are relatively good when it comes to sleep tracking. For women, they're good on the cycle tracking thing because of the temperature sensors and whatnot, but I haven't looked into these rings. I don't really care about them that much. The only reason I'm talking about this one is because it was part of this event, and it's Samsung. Other than that, it's your typical smart ring. So if you're in the market, there's another option for you, I guess. So,
found one.
Oh, that didn't take long at all.
No, it didn't. It was, it was on the first page of results on AliExpress for smart ring. And yeah, it's just a big honkin', just a huge flipping ring with a little screen on it.
That's amazing.
I hate that so much, but I also kind of love it.
That's great. But yeah, that's the Samsung Unpacked event. for July of 2024, not August, because again, they had to move things up to make Google happy, to make Apple happy, and whatever. I don't really understand tech companies anymore.
I don't think we ever will.
No, I
How
don't
long
really
we've been doing
want
this
to,
podcast?
honestly.
Well, I think that's the end of the Samsung Unpacked, unless anyone has anything else to say. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on here. We have some Apple news. The full-on OS emulator hits the App Store.
Yeah, so listener, a little while ago, I was making a big stink about how awesome it was that Apple had changed it to allow retro game console emulators to exist on the App Store. About the time that they made that policy change, an emulation app, I don't want to call it a game emulator, UTM-SE, submitted, the developer, what was the developer's name? Turing Software, submitted an emulator to the App Store, and Apple rejected it, saying, this is for game console emulators. What you have here is just a retro PC emulator. And so that doesn't count. They did manage to do a rework of it, and get it accepted by Apple. So to be clear, if you would like to use this to emulate retro PC games on your iPad or iPhone, you can. You can also use it to run, like, I don't know, old versions of Word in Windows XP if you want. It's just an OS emulator. Like, you can run, It doesn't actually ship with any of the OSs that can be emulated through it, but it'll do old versions of Windows, like Windows XP and older. It'll do versions of Mac OS, I think, like Leopard and older and stuff. It'll emulate stuff that was designed to run on x86, on PowerPC. There was another PC architecture that it supported, and I can't remember what it was, but point is, you want to run Windows XP on your iPhone. Not only do you not have to jailbreak the iPhone now like you used to have to do, you don't have to be a developer either. You can just download a free app and then load up an image, and hey, Windows XP. Okay.
You know what I want to see on this, come to this emulator, is the old Windows Phone software that used to be on the Palm phones.
Oh.
That would be amazing.
I'm not sure if the other supported processor architecture is ARM, but if it is, maybe, like, old versions of ARM that would do that. That would be neat.
Now you got to think.
If that were the case, I would potentially download this, because I used to have a Palm Trio. I loved that phone, and I wouldn't mind, having a little nostalgia kick going back to just to play around on something like that for a few minutes.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and I mean, I'll say I have a lot of old DOS games, and I could, I guess, run them on this.
That would be cool.
Like, hey, I'm just gonna pull down Windows 95, install it on this thing, and I'm just gonna play like what was that old Magic School Bus game? I think it was Explores the Solar System was the name of the game or something, but holy crap. Oh, wow. And all of the like the Reading Rabbit games.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
What were they called? All the math ones where you were like the super solvers. That was it. It was the super solvers. Yeah. They had like a whole series of games. And anyways, tons of old DOS games.
You could even do that. Mario Teaches Typing.
Yep. I mean, for crying out loud, like Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Like the original Oregon Trail.
Hey, I've got an Oregon Trail thing on my watch, so I'm good. I mean, it's awesome. Really just a step tracker that tells me how far along the Oregon Trail I've gone, but it tells me every morning where I'm at, and it's great. I love it.
There you go. Yep, that's the most exciting thing happening in Apple News this week.
All right. Well, nothing too exciting on Google and Microsoft, so we're going to move on to some general tech news. We got AMD here. They're presenting the 9000 series Ryzen. That's going to be launching on July 31st.
Yep. So that is the big piece of news that came out of this. So to be clear, Ryzen or AMD had a whole sit down with some media outlets and gave them several hours of presentations and then had hands-on stuff for them. And they were telling them details about all the specs for the 9000 series of Ryzen processors. They were making claims about their performance versus Intel's latest and greatest and all that stuff. None of those numbers have been verified by independent outlets, so I'm not going to tell anybody about any of them because I don't give any credence to stuff that was presented by the people who actually made the product. I don't trust AMD. And listener, neither should you. You also shouldn't trust Intel or Nvidia or Samsung or Apple or Google or any of them. None of these people are your friends. Sorry,
Nope.
not people. None of these corporations are your friends. You might be friends with some of the people in these corporations. That's totally fine.
Me and Tim
but...
Cook, we're pretty tight.
Yep.
But yes, so that's why we're not talking about that. But they did announce that July 31st is when these processors will be launching, which means we should expect a review embargo to lift sometime in the days leading up to July 31st, when we will be able to get independent outlets talking about these processors, at which point we will talk about the performance of them. Odds are it'll be pretty good. I do worry a little bit, though, based on the number of things at this presentation, the amount of time at this presentation AMD spent talking about NPU performance, the neural processing units, and the AI stuff, because let's be honest, consumers don't care. Consumers don't want this. It's just being shoved down our throats. So I'm a little worried that that's going to be, AMD like, look at all of this improvement in speed we've given you for your AI workflows. And we're all going to be sitting over here like, we don't have any of those. And these aren't actually any faster in the workloads that we do have. But we'll see on July 31st. So there you go. That's that.
There you go. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll move on. We're going to do some gaming news. First thing on gaming news, we're going to talk about some Game Pass and that they're getting price increases and a new tier. Let's get into this. So, obviously, they're going to be raising the price. It's a new fiscal year. I mean, we did see this coming, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay, it's not caught off guard. All right.
Doesn't make me happy about it.
No, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but yes. So let's get into this because I'm going to give the pricing, but then there is some confusion of what's kind of going on, and I'll explain. Let's start with the pricing. So Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, the holy shebang tier, top of the line, it used to be $16.99 a month. They are raising that to $19.99. So $3 more a month. PC Game Pass, this one was previously $9.99. They are raising it to $11.99. And then the Game Pass Core, 12 months, they actually are raising that from this is the yearly, from $59.99 to $74.99 for the yearly payment for this. Now, they are getting rid of some tiers, or one tier. So there was a tier called the Game Pass for Console, which was just Xbox Game Pass games. You got day one, all this. They are discontinuing this for new members. If you are already on this and subscribed, you can be grandfathered in. You have this, and you can keep moving forward. Which I would ask, why? Because this is the one that does not offer multiplayer. You got the Game Pass games, but you don't have multiplayer.
Look, as a PC player, I get it. Not wanting to pay for multiplayer. I wouldn't either. And as a person who, let's be honest, is a bit of an introvert and generally speaking doesn't play multiplayer games, I also get not needing to pay for multiplayer.
True.
However, how many of the games, like especially new games on Game Pass, can you even play if you don't have multiplayer? Like, I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, the most recent game that I have been playing on Game Pass is actually Diablo 4. Because I, had the realization, oh, wait a second, that's included. I should probably play it. And maybe I'll actually pay Blizzard money for it. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe.
We'll see.
But I've been playing that, and that is an open world RPG, yeah, it's got kind of a single player story that you can engage in, but it's also an MMO in that there is world events happening around you and a whole bunch of other players running around in the world with you and that kind of thing. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, is there an offline single player version of that game? Because I don't think there is.
I don't think so.
I think you have to be online to play that. Now, Diablo 3, there was, right? There were some online bits, there were some offline bits, and there was totally a fully offline version of that game.
Yes.
But I don't think that's the case for Diablo 4, and so many new games are that way. So, I get not wanting to pay for multiplayer. I get it. I'm just confused about what benefit you're actually getting from paying for Game Pass at all in that case. It's just a bunch of older games, right? Like, that's what you're getting, I suppose?
Yep. Yep. So, if you want to stay on that on your console, you can. You just have to keep the subscription up with automatic payments and with the renewal enabled, and you can keep that subscription. So they are changing what they call Game Pass Core. They are changing that to Game Pass Standard. So this is going to be, in the next couple months, it says they will be launching this, and this is going to be the $15 a month tier. That will include Xbox Game Pass core benefits, all the hundreds of games, though they are changing it to where the day one releases won't be available on this tier. So day one, that was the big toting for, this will release on Game Pass. You'll have access to it if you have Game Pass for a lot of things. This one will not. You also will not have EA Play on your library. And it will not include the Xbox Cloud Gaming or Game Pass perks and quests and discounts on games. So these benefits will only remain available on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So, but you get your multiplayer.
Yeah.
So it's the standard, which is you get multiplayer, you get Game Pass games, but you won't get like day one releases. They have not said when. They haven't given a date. It's kind of more, they said this will be a case-by-case basis on games. So I would assume, say, let's talk a big one, Call of Duty. That comes out, you may not be able to have access to that maybe 6 months later.
Yeah.
So so that's the Game Pass standard there that they're adding, which is, I believe they said in September sometime. On there. So
yep.
So kind of confusing, kind of some changes that are coming. Obviously, price increase, but the one that didn't get the biggest one was obviously PC Game Pass, because I bet they probably still see some growth there that they can try to pull people into. I mean, most codes I see anymore for any kind of thing is always a PC Game Pass thing.
Yeah.
So
they're really pushing it. But I will say, it is so much harder to get rewards points via like Bing searches and stuff like that than it used to be. And my PC Game Pass is probably going to lapse. Yep. I'm going to run out of free months, and I'm not going to pay for it, I don't think. Like, it's a good deal. It's a good deal if you don't have a library of literally hundreds of other PC games that you haven't played yet.
True.
And I I don't know, for basically for the price of a year's worth of Game Pass for PC Game Pass, I can buy, if I'm shopping sales and using like Humble Bundle deals and stuff like that, I could buy I'm trying to think, probably like 40 or 50 games.
Yeah, is it 100? If that's $120
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah. Like if I'm, again, you have to be shopping sales, you have to be buying bundles, that kind of thing. And not all of the games you get in those bundles are going to be games that you actually want or plan to play. But 90% of the games on Game Pass, I don't actually want, and I'm never going to play them. So,
It's true.
It's very much like from a PC player perspective, I see why they're having trouble getting people to pay for this. I use it because I am getting it for free. But if I stop getting it for free, I'm not going to pay for it. I'll just go back to buying games. Thanks.
No, it's true. And I mean, I don't know how to really give them a better idea. I mean, to like, if you did this, maybe PC get, but I also feel that, I mean, it's going to be an uphill battle for them, but I don't know. I mean, they got to be smart enough to realize that, I mean, if they really pushed PC Game Pass, like they're going to be pushing against Steam. Yeah. And I don't think they want to do that right now. Like, I don't think.
I think they know that this is an uphill battle. And I almost feel like they're offering PC Game Pass almost as a way to sweeten the pot for Game Pass Ultimate. Because Game Pass Ultimate includes PC Game Pass, does it not?
Yes.
Yeah. So like it's almost like a way to say to all of the Xbox players who would just pay for Game Pass Standard, but they also have like a PC. They're like, oh, well, maybe I should play for Ultimate so that I can also play all of these games on my PC if I want. Like it's almost like it exists, like PC Game Pass exists to sweeten the pot for Game Pass Ultimate to get Xbox players to upgrade to that. And they're also like, well, if we can get some PC players to subscribe to PC Game Pass, then that will also help.
Yeah, I think that's just PC Game Pass is just a stepping stone. So obviously, they want everybody obviously on Ultimate, but I was just looking. Okay, yeah, EA Play does come with PC Game Pass, but the cloud gaming
does not.
Does not. Okay, I was just kind of looking to see if they changed. This is coming off of their actual app here.
Yeah.
I wanted to see. But I have heard that they're looking into just doing even just a cloud tier of it. So who knows? We'll see. I feel like maybe they're gonna try and push the cloud stuff more. I mean, they just made partnerships with Amazon. They're slowly making partnerships with NVIDIA's stuff. I can't think of GeForce Now. Is that what it is? GeForce Now?
Yes. Yeah.
And they're making that, with BattleNet or Blizzard games and all the other stuff. So I think they're pushing that more because I feel like they don't want to hurt Steam in a sense. Like they don't want that at all. So I think that's me just thinking. I think that's where they're going to try and push first.
Yeah.
Really. So, but overall subscriptions, it sucks that it's going up. I mean, those of you that decided to prepay, 3 years ahead on whatever method of doing it, great, you got a good deal when it first started. I mean, but things are changing just for that, and I would assume, I wouldn't think that it would go up anymore here. I think this is probably that because they did it last year, right before everything was okay with Activision Blizzard. Like they were still in the process of this may work, may not, but they did it last year. What was it, $1, maybe $2 or something? So they did it again this year, and I feel like that was kind of the, hey, we might need to push this just to, I don't know, who knows what with corporations and needing money, but yeah, so that's really all that's there. So just keep an eye out and just know that if you do go for that standard tier, you may not be getting games day one. So if you were looking forward to, say, Age of Mythology, it's very possible you won't get it day one if you're on that tier. Who knows? But like I said, it's case-by-case basis for each game. All right, moving on. This one was a quick one I thought was interesting. Those of you that use Microsoft Rewards and their auto-redeem stuff, they are taking away the auto-redeem for Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass. What the auto-redeem basically did is if you set it up and said, hey, I just want to auto-redeem this with my points every month, they would give you a discount on that. So a normal redeem for 1 month of Game Pass Ultimate was 12,000 points. This would lower it down. If you just auto redeem it, it would be 10,500. So they're just taking that away. At first, I thought when I read it and the way they presented it was that you couldn't use your points to redeem PC Game Pass or Ultimate or any kind of subscription. And I was looking through it. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize they would do that, and I might not be doing Microsoft points anymore. But then I dug a little deeper, but it does show. It says you can still use the redeem. They're just taking the auto redemption thing away. So,
yep.
Figured I'd clear that up in case those of you that were auto redeeming their subscription to Game Pass that way, that's just being taken away. So sucks because I mean that's saving points. Nice. Okay, we're gonna move on. We have some free indie games here. Caleb, you want to speculate on some of these games?
We do. So this is, listener, we haven't done like an indie game spotlight of the week in years.
This is
I'm
true.
not necessarily committing to bringing the segment back, but this week there have been some interesting little indie games that have popped up that I'm like, sure, these are free. I'm going to mention them. First one, so the first 4 of these are on Steam. 3 of them are in early access, so kind of take that as it is. But since they're free, early access doesn't matter as much. You can download them, give them a try, decide if you'd like to keep an eye on the project, and maybe get it when it comes out in full. But at the very least, you can try it out now. The first one is called Ding Dong Dang, which is it's an MMO, just a casual MMO, very cartoony art style and stuff like that. Has 3 regions in it currently, so still early access, in development, supposed to grow from there, but you can try out the mechanics for now. There's Screwdrivers, which is also in early access, which is a physics-based customizable racing game. So you get to basically, like you're kind of building toy cars out of modules and blocks and stuff like that, and then racing them. There's Terra Inferno, which is not an early access game. This one is actually a full release. It is a turn-based resource management game that flips the script on humanity. So instead of like a resource management game where you're trying to settle an alien planet or something like that, you play as the environment trying to get rid of the people. So that's a fun twist.
That sounds amazing.
You know what, you can make this even more of a twist on this game is make a version of this that's a human resource management game.
Yes. What a twist.
Huh. Yep.
Where you sit at a desk and do the same thing.
It's
This is my type of input, listener, into the gaming segment.
I'm not doing that unless you're paying me at least $90,000 a year. That's just called a day job, Landon.
Yes. True.
And then we have Night Project that is in early access. It's an indie horror game, kind of like you're walking around trying to solve a mystery in a sketchy, spooky environment by interviewing people and trying to put clues together while being stalked by like a serial killer or something like that. The description was kind of vague. Horror games tend to be that way. And then this last one is what is currently the free game available on the Epic Game Store, which is, honestly, listener, if you don't have an Epic Game Store account just to get the free game every week or two, you should set one up, because I have not paid a single dime to Epic at all. I have like 40 or 50 games in my Epic Games library just by grabbing the free weekly games that interest me. Epic has lost so much money on me, and that honestly makes me kind of like warm and fuzzy inside. So there's that as well. But yes, so this one on the Epic Game Store, it's Floppy Knights, which is a tactics card game in which you are basically think Advanced Wars meets Hearthstone. So you play as a person who is using floppy disk creatures, so creatures stored on floppy disks, essentially, to build up a deck of creatures that you can use in tactics style, like Advanced Wars style battles. So that's actually really interesting. And, I have it in my library now, and I'm going to play it, and I think I'll probably enjoy it. So yes, there you go. 5 free indie games for you to check out if you're looking for something to play this week, listener.
That's amazing. Those sound like really fun games. I want to check some of them out.
Yeah.
Especially the Terra Inferno one. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to play that.
All right. Well, let's move on. It looks like we actually have some Doom news.
We do. Listener, this week, Doom modders are the best people on the internet. I feel like this is the most internet bit of Doom modding that we've had so far. You've seen Doom displayed on a pregnancy test. You've seen Doom theorized about being able to be displayed by E. coli. You've seen Doom powered by potatoes and, playable on a fully contained Lego console. These are all really fun, nifty, interesting things on which you can run Doom. This past week, someone ported Doom to a fleshlight. So I think maybe the biggest question I have about all of this is, why does this fleshlight have a screen on it?
That's what I was thinking.
Listener, we're not into that and have no idea.
I don't understand what the function of that could possibly be. I don't know. Apparently, also worth noting, if you're in the market for something like this, listener, they did tie the gameplay into the vibration function of the electronics. So when you do get kills, it vibrates. So, man, if this is your kink, I guess more power to you. But, like, really?
Use the rocket launcher.
There you go. Doom modders. They are just peak internet always.
As well as something else. We'll just say that. That's... I mean, why not? Why not?
I guess. It's just... Once again, the modder who did this had to purchase this device.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that does say something about them, and I feel like they're quite brave to put that information out onto the internet. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, I got no words. Landon, you got anything on that one?
No. No, I don't.
Well, way to end the episode on that one. Unless, Landon, you got one more thing to top that. I'm just curious.
No.
That's,
Nope.
Good.
I don't.
I don't want to hear what would top that.
Yeah, I'm just curious, but fair. All right, listener. That's the end of our episode. That was quite the epic ending. Don't go look that up. Or at least have your safe search on, or something.
That's probably a good idea.
I don't even know. Anyway, if you want to get hold of us, you can over at our social media platforms, as well as callingallplatforms.com. There has been a recent video uploaded to our Now I say
Yeah.
recent because if you take the time between the one before this one, it's
Look,
fairly recent.
it was only like a year, okay? I mean,
Still pretty recent. To our YouTube channel, you can take a look at that. All right, dear listener, have a good week.
bye-bye.
See ya.
Calling All Platforms is a production of Supporter Sound Studios. To learn more about how you can support the podcast, go to www.patreon.com/callingallplatforms.